Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Hello and welcome back to Take the Leap podcast. We're so excited to have a returning guest this season. Anna Goodwin is the owner and maker at Ceres Baby, a small business specializing in handmade organic baby clothes. A Latina entrepreneur whose childhood dream of becoming a successful business owner has become a reality. Refusing to take no for an answer, she aims to inspire other women to pursue their dreams fearlessly. As a mother to a 2-year-old, Anna's entrepreneurial journey was sparked by her own experiences. Feeling out of place upon returning from maternity leave and burnt out in a male-dominated industry, she decided to carve her path in the business world. Today, she shares her insights and experiences to empower others on their entrepreneurial journeys. Welcome back to the podcast. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. So honored.
Yes.
Back.
Thank you for coming back. I kind of just want to catch up with you for a little bit. How are you? How's your family? How's business going? And what's new in your world?
We're doing phenomenal, honestly. Can't really complain. Just trying to enjoy this heat weather in Florida and trying to, stay home a little bit because it is way too hot, but really can't complain. Everything's going great.
Okay, now I have
That's
to ask,
awesome.
What's the temperature in Florida right now?
Honestly, I don't know right now, but in the last couple of, it's 89 degrees and it feels like 93. So the last couple of weeks, well, I should say the whole summer was just so hot. And this is our third summer here, and every summer it gets hotter. And so we don't really go outside anymore, only in the very, very morning or in the later afternoon. So the last maybe 5 days or so, the weather has been cooling down at night. So I have been starting to go on more walks. Nice. And I need to be outside. Like, we need to be outside. So with the heat, I'm just like, nope, thank you. We moved down here because my husband wanted to go to the parks a lot and all that stuff, and we don't go to the parks. Maybe once a week now. Which that's a lot still, but it's mostly for like an hour or two because you're just sweating. You know what I mean? So I just don't enjoy that.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's too hot. That's too hot. Well, and we're having a really random heat wave in Portland right now. It's going to be, I think it's going to hit 90 today.
To hit 90 today.
Oh my God.
Just like last week, we had fall weather. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow, I think it's supposed to rain.
Yeah.
And be like 60 degrees.
Oh my gosh. I wish.
I don't know how to keep up with the weather changes right now. It's just like up, down. My allergies are all over the place.
Yeah. So, we have a hurricane coming, I think.
I bet. Yeah. It's that time of year. Yeah. So, well, hopefully the weather at least cools down a little bit for you soon.
Yes, I hope so too.
Yes. I was going to say, I am welcoming the 90-degree weather because I am not ready for it to be fall weather.
Yeah, but in Portland, it's like so gloomy all the time. So
it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's we're back up here, back up here a little bit from Vegas, but that's why I was like, I'm a little jealous. I relish the 90-degree weather. I love it.
We can swap.
Yeah, swap. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a fall girl, a cold weather girl all the way. I'm definitely living in the right part of the country for my preferred weather patterns. So I'm feeling good about that. Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. And how's your son doing?
He's doing so good. He's doing so good. He loves to eat, so we don't have no issues with that. And he's just, at first, I was a little worried that he was like maybe not speaking as much. But then I remembered that I also teach him Spanish at home. So, like, all day he's in Spanish mode. And then when daddy comes home, it's English. And so he knows a lot of Spanish. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Do I, like, you start worrying and questioning, like, is he doing okay? Is there something wrong? This and that. And just randomly started speaking more, and he has so many words.
That's
And
great.
it's just so fun. So fun.
That's so exciting. And he is 2 now, right?
Yes.
That's
He
great.
acts
Yeah.
like a
And my
2-year-old. He has an attitude. Like, if he looks like his daddy, but acts like myself, which is a great thing. You know what I mean? We'll take it. Uh, and a lot more talkative and stuff. So I've been trying to teach him. I got like flashcards and a bunch of things, but this little boy just wants to be playing outside,
That's
puddles
kind
and all
of the
that.
phase we're into. Yeah, he loves puddles. He loves the dirt. I don't know if you're going through this or not as well, but he also loves danger. He will jump off of anything and then he'll hurt himself and then he'll go and just do it again
We're
over
not
and
there
over.
yet. And one of the things I always say is I use the word yet a lot when it comes to parenthood, because
Yep.
for example, he has never put anything in his mouth, like when he was a baby, or just starting to crawl, anything like that. Just randomly last week he started putting everything in his mouth. Like, we're walking around, he's got rocks in his mouth, and I'm like, why are we putting things in our mouth now? So yet we're not there yet. It could happen next week.
Mhm. It's so true. That's a really good way to put it, because it's like every phase happens at a different spot for someone else, and
Correct.
every child is different. And yeah, you never know
Correct.
when it's
That,
going to
that's I
happen.
think that's the thing
So,
that a lot of us people, or mothers or parents per se, worry about. That everybody's talking about, like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. But in reality, like, we all grow different, like, different stages, different phases. So that's what I try to think about. He's gonna go as fast as he wants to, as long as he wants to.
Mhm.
that's great. And honestly, you could probably apply that same philosophy to entrepreneurship. Like, we're all going through different phases at different times. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different lessons to learn. And yeah, having that same approach to entrepreneurship, I really feel like becoming a parent has made me a better entrepreneur
Yes,
all
not
the way
and
around.
yes, yes, and not to take away from, like, the ones that choose not to, or absolutely just
Right. Yeah.
cannot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think before, even when I was just like a dog owner, it's like slowly, you know what I mean. You're learning things as well, so
Mhm.
absolutely, it teaches you. I think we learn more patience, and I would say also resilience. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you just see that little person and, like, okay, go, go, go. That's how we should be as well.
Absolutely. I love that. That's such a good way to put it, for sure. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well and your family's doing well.
Yes.
We really want to dive in today a little bit deeper into your business. We talked a lot last time about what made you decide to take the leap and your journey to entrepreneurship. So today I kind of want to do a deeper dive on your business, if that's
Awesome.
okay. A couple things that I noticed. So one thing, I recently purchased something from your shop. I'm really excited for the pumpkin outfit. Um, he's gonna love it, and we still wear the Highland cows all the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and we'll be wearing those until he outgrows them for sure.
Yes. They should last a
Um,
while because they run big.
yes, yes, and I love that. I love that. We used to roll up the pants, and now I know he's growing because I no longer have to roll up the pants, and it makes me want to cry. And so, but yeah, he looks so cute in those. But one thing I noticed when I was checking out is it said that a tree would be planted with my purchase. And then you also have the option of rounding up to plant multiple trees.
Yes.
And so it just kind of got me thinking, one, I would love it if you want to talk about that a little bit more. But then two, like, what are some smaller things that businesses can do, things that they can partner with, and ideas that they have that they can easily implement into their business to make it more sustainable or to make a greater impact.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. That's such a cool idea. So, my husband and I are every single night we watch the National Geographic channel. So we're always watching the animals and anything that deals with nature. And one day we're listening to David Attenborough, and he is talking about the Amazon. And he is talking about how it essentially is slowly, or I would say very rapidly, turning into a savanna because the trees are not growing and all of that stuff. And all of that has to deal with us humans, unfortunately, not really taking care of our planet and all that climate change. And so we've been trying to find an organization that will help us make a change. I see a lot of small businesses that will contribute to like feeding children, the homeless children, and anything that is like overseas when it comes to children and all of that stuff. Some of them will do like education and all of that. And so while I thought obviously that is really important, we do that during the holidays, feed the children and things like that. But we do that like ourselves, you know what I mean? And our big family does all of that. However, we wanted to focus on something that could be just a little bit easier. And that's when we ended up finding this organization that helps plant trees, which is the Eden Reforestation Organization. And so what they do is you can contribute as much as you want. And so right now, with our sales and the way that we operate at the moment, we're able to contribute to 1 tree per purchase. It hasn't been too much, obviously, because again, we're a little bit of a slower company, but as we grow, we will make a bigger impact. But I honestly think that even 1 tree will help us, so essentially what they're doing is they are helping plant trees overseas, because a lot of the times that's where they're struggling. They're also helping out the local communities by giving them jobs and helping them out by paying them livable wages. So they're working with big organizations, corporations, a lot of small businesses as well. And so we wanted to have something that was very easy to add to our website. So luckily we do use like Shopify, and so that's very easy to do. So I think one of the things that small businesses can do, a lot of us think it has to be like all or nothing, that it has to be a big change for us to be, or a big change for us to see an impact. And that's not how it works. A small business or a consumer can do as little as changing their packaging to eco-friendly or biodegradable materials. You know what I mean? Instead of focusing for shipping, like from ordering from overseas, trying to do as many as local. And I understand that is, I would say, not necessarily a privilege, but it's a little bit harder to do, just because the profit is not there as much if you're trying to stay a little bit more on the, like the lower end of the price scale, per se, because a lot of people at the moment sadly just don't have the income for it, and it makes sense. So changing to the packaging, being able to donate to just other climate change organizations that they're able to. For example, we have another one that's very local to us that we absolutely love, that we will eventually end up trying to partner with and work with, which is the oh my gosh, where am I spacing? The Loggerhead Marine Center. And so what they do is they have a lot of the loggerhead turtles that come to the coast of Florida. It's in Jupiter, Florida, and a lot of them are hurt, so they come in and do, like, they nest here and all of that stuff. So they make sure that the turtles are taken care of, as well as it's like a hospital. And I remember going there, I think it was like 8 years ago, and it was like this little shack, you know what I mean? And now it's this massive place where tons of turtles are there and they take care of it, and they're a nonprofit as well, so you're able to donate every time you go in and you donate. And we absolutely love it because my son goes and sees the turtles, and then we go and we buy a shirt from there, and all the proceeds go to the hospital. And they also only any of the products that they carry are products that are either biodegradable or good for the planet, things like that, or made with, I think the shirt that he has that we absolutely love, it's made from plastic. You know what I mean? So recycle plastic. So things like that, you know what I mean? That people can do. Just adding it to their website, you know. I see people adding tips. Can you want to tip the small business? How about just donate $1 to, I don't know, plant a tree or feed the kids, or teaching children, little girls, how to sew or how to do things, you know what I mean, that can help them in the future as well. What else? We could focus a lot on smaller quantities, you know what I mean, a lot of the times. I think there's a big issue, not a big issue, but social media has made us think that we need to have so many things, especially now with how big or how many influencers they are, and we have a lot of them are just showing us this big, you know, clothing holes that they're having and all of that stuff. And so we are promoting people to consume more clothes than we need to, you know. I can't remember the last time I bought something, you know, because I wear the same thing over and over again. And that is normal. That's
Yeah.
how it should be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so we're currently having issues with that because people think that they need to buy more items, they need to consume more when they don't. And so buying or making smaller quantities, making sure that we are double checking, again, like I mentioned earlier, um, how many employees does the factory have? What kind of conditions do they have? You know, a lot of the times you can find small businesses that are overseas if that's what you want, because you want to spend not as much money on your items. So you can research, and they have it pulled up everywhere. They have to have certificates and all of that stuff, you know. But there is, most of the time there's a middleman, and so that's when they jack up the prices and all of that stuff. And so being able to have like very small quantities, I think it's also a big impact. And again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can just be slowly changing, and then once you become good at that, then you can go into the next one, you know, and kind of go from there.
I love that you talk about the slow fashion philosophy. Like I think I don't think I've bought new clothes in like 2 years. Like
Yeah.
the last time I bought new clothes was like in 2022, because we were going to visit family in Hawaii after COVID, and I was like, I have nothing that fits me anymore. That's like summer, like that
Right.
fits clothes to go out there. And that was kind of the last round. And I made sure to buy things that would, like, you know, like as a woman who goes up and down in size very
Mm-hmm.
often, like made
Yeah.
sure that things were like flexible and could, you know, expand and contract as things go on. And I think that that is just super important to teach people, is that like you don't need clothes that you only wear for like one, you know, like 1 year, or this fast fashion, or that we used to have clothes that like last forever. I love that, you know, you're like,
Yeah.
it's very durable and lasts so long. I remember growing up as a kid, like you can see them from our family photos. Like my cousin wore that dress, and then I wore that dress, and then my sister wore that dress, and then my
Right.
like next younger cousin wore that dress. So I think it's training ourselves to go back and think about, like, things used to be high quality. You'd be able to hand it down. It doesn't, you know, you don't need to get something just new, you know, new for you to wear. Or like I have a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that was like my buy nothing group had like a bag of clothes that we like passed around, and whoever
Right.
fit stuff, you know, took stuff out of it.
Absolutely.
Um,
But
so
everything
yeah,
is just so cheaply made nowadays, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And we're just, I feel like we're just trained into this mindset of we need more and more and more, when in
Mhm.
reality, we just need to buy better quality items.
Quality.
And
Yeah.
again, you know, I understand that a lot of people don't have the financial means to do that, you know, and a lot of people are are not able to do that. So it is, something that I'm working on is trying to educate more people when it comes to that, making sure that our
Mm-hmm.
items are going to last a little bit longer, why, which is the reason why I have our items they're like a bigger size than normal, because we get PJs or clothes from cousins or whatever, and they would last one or two times, or the strings are already falling apart, which I get it, like I'm not perfect, that could happen to my items as well, but I promise customer service is there, so I will take care of it. But the items are going to last longer because they are durable. They're not just going to rip as soon as you wear
Mm-hmm.
it, which is what we're
Yeah.
dealing with. Because they cost so little, they're cheaply made. They're made with workers that don't make anything. They're having to work 80 hours or more under terrible conditions. I wouldn't want to work like that either. I wouldn't care about the quality that I'm giving you. So that's what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, especially when it comes with children. There should not be a child be able to work in one of those factories. Children should be
Mm-hmm.
learning school, and they should be having fun. They should be enjoying life,
Absolutely.
because that's what we did when we were little,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, can you dig in a little bit more about the production and customer relationships when it comes to having the more durable, longer lasting clothing? Like, how has that kind of changed your business as far as like production and customer service and relationship?
So, I worked with customer service for a very long time. So, I like to think that my husband and I are really good when it comes to customer service. When it comes to production time, I do mention 3 to 5 business days on our stuff, because I try to make everything as it comes in. And so again, one of the reasons why I'm trying to change to a little bit more all year long, all year round designs is because I can still have a lot of those fabrics and be able to sell them for the whole year, because I don't want to just do seasonal items and then people just throw them away, and then defeats the purpose of what we are trying to do and what we value so much. And so when it comes to ordering our fabrics, we do order them in smaller quantities, and if I don't have enough, allowing us those 3 to 5 business days, we are able to order from our supplier, which technically, I mean, luckily it's in the United States, so we are able to get that ASAP. And so the transportation time, it's so small, so we're not having to wait, 20 days or longer than that for all of that stuff.
That's great.
I think that
Awesome.
answers the
That's
question.
great. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I kind of want to shift in a second to still sustainability, but also like kind of wrapping in parenthood with that. But before that, I want to just ask the question, is there anything else about your business that you want to talk about in terms of like your views on sustainability and like how other ways that you are trying to make an impact with your footprint, and anything else, any other tips you have for other businesses trying to do the
You
same?
know, I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you. Bless you.
Um, I just hope that a lot of all other small businesses really do, I would say, wake up or keep trying to bring light to the fast fashion trend, I would say, that we have going on, as well as, one of the things that I don't do is partner up with influencers, because again, I'm not trying to um, in, influence people into overproduction and overconsumption. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of small businesses should try to focus more, if they are trying to go with like influencer stuff because they're trying to get more business, focus more on the ones that are not just doing the Amazon hauls and the Walmart hauls and things like that. More of, hey, this is what we're doing, and bringing light into that issue. But again, I think it's a big challenge that we have gone on. So not only am I trying to learn for our family, and what ways that we can do to better our families lifespan and all of that stuff, but I'm also trying to find ways on how to educate people without sounding like I'm too repetitive, as well as I would say being afraid of putting myself out there, because I follow another small business and she focuses a lot on like, hey, let's see if we can make this shirt for $10 or whatever. And there is just so much negativity when it comes to the prices and why she's doing that. And it comes from people that unfortunately are not educated and then don't want to support I would say what we're trying to go for, so that is probably one of the things that I struggle with, is just putting myself out there, but I know I need to do it because we are passionate about it, and if we are trying to make our world a little bit better every day, I think I need to just suck it up and just go for it, you know what I mean? And so one of the things that I struggle with a lot is also speaking in public and all of that stuff. And so I just have to go for it and just do it, you know what I mean? Because I think there's a lot of education that is lacking when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah.
That's great. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful.
Totally.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm not paying
No, you're fine.
I want to ask, how has parenthood shaped your views on sustainability, both in your business and your personal life?
Like I said, every time you go shopping, we're now trying to figure out, is this good or is it not? What are we doing? And essentially, like I talked this in the first time that was in your podcast, is um, my family has dealt with a lot of cancer and a lot of things like that. So, what am I doing to live a longer life with my son? Again, I know that I can't stop everything, but the little things could make a big impact in my health. And I want to grow old and I want to see my son have children and I want him to be healthy and I want the other children to be healthy as well. So, we start to change the way that we think about things and the way that we do things once we have somebody else who's looking up to you. And essentially that's what it is. I want him to look at me, or other children to look at us and say, oh, I'm very proud of them. They're doing something to help us live longer. And he loves the animals, and so we focus on watching the animal shows as well, and he sees all of that. And so why not help him, and now why not show him all of that stuff as much as we can?
I love that. I love that. And that kind of like leads in really well to my next question. So we recently talked to another podcast guest who kind of did a deep dive on the topic of climate grief and how that's just been something that as a society we're kind of dealing with. And I kind of want to flip that and talk about climate grief and also hope, and as it relates to parenthood. How do you balance that act of, okay, I want to make this better for my kid. I want to make sure we leave the world better than we found it, and I want to teach him to do the same. How do you balance that with the grief of this is very overwhelming, and I'm one human, and also how are you going to be having conversations with him about that in the future?
Wow, that's a really good question. My husband is very into science and all that stuff, so I think he would be the one having that conversation with him when it comes to that. But again, I think we're just going to focus one step at a time. So are we recycling? Are we just showing him maybe how to plant our own food and veggies? You know what I mean? And just bring light. I want to make sure that he knows that it is okay to have a different opinion than somebody else. That just because some people don't think climate change is real does not mean that he should also think that it's not. So by educating him and making sure that he knows the little things that are happening and how that is impacting in an overall, society. I think that's what we're essentially what we're going to be doing. And my husband will end up going into a lot of details onto like, this is what we do it, or this is what's happening. And again, we will end up probably having to watch David Attenborough, and he will explain it a little bit better because I learn it a little bit better because I'm a visual learner. So I'll be like, okay, cool, we're talking about the Amazon. That sounds phenomenal. So I think I would like more educational shows when it came to teaching our children, because a lot of it is very sciencey, and so, for example, I don't really understand science too much, but if somebody's playing it to me as a child, I would get it. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that's what we're gonna do. And again, I just have to talk about it. Just get over the thing of people are going to disagree with me, because I think a lot of the times we just don't talk about things because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid that people are going to not agree with us. And that is okay. That is okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think by doing so, he's going to grow up and be able to form his own opinions based on everything that he's been educated on. And
Yeah.
then hopefully, make decisions for his own life that in turn will impact other people around him and his community. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what
Plus,
we hope for as parents, right?
absolutely.
Like,
Plus, like there's I've been looking into doing a little bit more outdoorsy things with him, now that the weather is cooling down. There's a couple of like little forest schools that I want to get him into where he can go and yeah, explore. They can, we live in an apartment at the moment, so we don't have a balcony, so we're not able to do like our own garden, but we do like our own what are they called, microgreens and things like that. So we do that, and we do take him to the farm a lot, so he's able to do that, and he helps us pick our own veggies there. He absolutely loves it. And when we go to grandma's house, she's got a big yard, so we go outside and we play a lot, and we see all the animals. And so just involving him as much as we can when it comes to just being outside.
yeah, giving them a love of the outdoors.
Yeah,
That's super important because you have to love what you're doing to and love the world around you to be able to want to save it, right?
absolutely.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, we have a couple more questions. The first one is, what are your long-term sustainability goals for Ceres Baby?
Oh my gosh, what I would essentially love to do is, my ultimate goal would be to have a like a big manufacturing warehouse per se, but I want it to be solar panel ran. You know what I mean? That's what I want. And I want to make sure that we keep finding a fabric manufacturer that will focus on reusing the water that they are using for the fabric inks and all of that stuff, as well as keep focusing on. So essentially, I want to focus on trying to do more solar panels, and being able to reuse a lot of the water for the inks. Making sure that the inks are still chemical free as much as possible, and just keep working with the local farmers and local small businesses as much as we can, because believe it or not, they do have a big impact in our climate change or society and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
That's great.
I feel like it's almost going back to like, quote unquote, the olden times where you only had this like footprint around you. It was a long time ago that I had like read something about like how people became married. Like they were all people who like lived, within like a couple miles of each other because
Yeah,
that's who you had. We didn't
yeah.
have all of our different technology and things.
As like the world gets a little bit more and more expensive, I actually just saw another small business who also makes their items here in the United States, and they make, I believe it was like sheets and pillows and all that stuff. And they were really sad. They were posting a story about how their fabric manufacturer, who is here in the United States, I think they were like in Virginia or North Carolina, um, ended up having to close down because everything was too expensive, so they were resorting back to going overseas, so I
So
would
good.
love to have and more companies that stay in the United States, and I know that there are some organizations that keep working with the president administration and all that stuff that focus on trying to make it a little bit easier for manufacturers to stay within the United States, because they end up bringing jobs, and it's so good to have a small business. Everybody's struggling with the small businesses and things like that. And I do believe they are the things that make America, And so we want more of that,
Absolutely.
less corporations, because they're already rich, the rich are already rich.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
agree with that.
Last question. How do you hope to further inspire both your customers and your son to live more eco-conscious lives?
Oh my gosh, I hope that they don't have to buy from me. Essentially, I always say that this could be a really bad business strategy. You know what I mean? But they don't have to buy from me. What I want them essentially to do is be aware of what they are consuming and who they are supporting. You know what I mean? And so I want them to know that there is a lot of other small businesses that also offer organic cotton, that are also ecotechs, that are also making sure that everybody's getting paid equally. And so just doing a little bit more research and buying that, and trying to be de-influenced from buying from these big corporations. Oh my gosh, did I just use the word that was copyright? Oops.
No, we talked about de-influencing, I think,
Yeah.
on an episode last season
And
Yeah.
too.
so,
We did.
Yeah.
making sure that they're aware of what they're doing and what they're buying. And so they could even do a little bit of thrifting, and learn how to sew themselves. It's probably a really bad business strategy, but if you can learn a skill and do it yourself, now you don't have to buy it from somebody else. You can just go, if you wanted to, go to the thrift store and get some things, and you can make, depending on the item, 2, 3 little bodysuits or something, and go from there. And so instead of having to buy brand new items and just getting more and more clothing that's gonna end up being thrown away anyways because it's so cheaply made. And when it comes to my son, he's gonna end up doing just fine, as long as he keeps with an open mind, as he grows and all of that. We come from a good family. Like, he's got really good. His grandma's excellent. He's everybody in his family's excellent. So I think he'll be fine, and so he'll end up realizing, oh my gosh, my mom was right. And so maybe one day he'll be a scientist, or he'll be a doctor, and he'll want to do things like that.
Love that.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to end with?
No, I absolutely love that we were able to do a little bit more conversation in this podcast this time, just getting to chat, and just going back and forth a little bit. I think it's wonderful that we are focusing a little bit more on the quality of the items that we are selling, and again, making sure that everybody is aware of what they're buying, and essentially buying better things and helping out our planet. Again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be a package, that's different, or going to a local market and supporting the local farmer, or whatever the case may be, that those are the little impacts that I think people need to do. We don't need to have thousands of dollars. Definitely don't, and I'm doing my best as I can. And I think what I want people to do is educate themselves. I think there's a lot of misinformation all over the internet, all over the world, and things like that. And I think we just need to educate ourselves with whatever values we want to take in, and whatever resonates with us.
I love that. That's a wonderful, wonderful way to end this. Well, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having this conversation with us. And I love, too, that we were able to take a deeper dive. And we appreciate everything you do. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for having me. It's always so
Of
good to see you
course.
girls.
I know. We're going to keep having you back as much as we
Oh, I
can.
love that. I love that. As we get older, like I said, once I have my big what is it called, my big factory and all that stuff. I'll welcome you guys in one day and all that stuff. I always
Perfect.
say the sky's the limit. We're gonna do
Yeah.
very
Exactly.
local. We're gonna do very local. Lots of women, we'll have like daycare and all that stuff. We have goals here.
Mhm.
That's perfect. I love that. I love that so much. I love that so much. Well, thank you for updating us, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to all of our listeners. We will see you next time.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast. Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.